Hello, everybody. Good evening to all of you. How you doing? How you doing, everyone? I hope you are having a fantastic week and you had a great week. I spent my last week in Italy. And now we're back. Hello, hello Gwendlina, hello Neuro, hello Mini, hello Nick. Hello Gary, hello Crowned, hello Twisted. How's it going? So today we're painting a very sexy dwarfy boy. I really like this guy. He has a very like kind of face. I like him. I like this guy. Like Do you think you're going to the next Monte? The one coming up in October or November, whenever it is. I don't know. I have to talk about it with my girlfriend. It's a fairly expensive trip, and I don't know how much interest I have in going to compete. Can you teach us to paint purple without looking BBD? Well, the secret of purple is that you want to keep it dark, because if you start adding too much white to your purple, it becomes very grayed out and kind of ugly. And to light it up, you either go cold, adding blue, or you go warm, adding red. Don't add yellow to a purple like you would normally for most colors, because purple is the opposite of yellow, so it goes even grayer. So avoid that. And that's pretty much it, really. There's not that much more to say about purple. It's just it's a fairly simple color at the end of the day. So I want to give this guy an ochreish skin tone. Because, yes, because I said so. So let's just pick up some random colors, really. Oh yeah, let's use my top lat. Yeah, I'm gonna wait 2 minutes. If she's not back in 2 minutes, I'm just gonna show my dick on camera. I'm joking. It was a finger. This is a finger. We're all gonna get banned. Anyway. So even though the guys are all in the same room, that doesn't mean that they have to have the same skin tone. So some of them could be more ochreish in the skin, others could be more orangish. So we did this guy, who has a fairly reddish skin tone. So we can do this guy with a more ochreish skin tone. So what we want to do is desaturate a little bit. Hello, Cara. Welcome to Stripper. That would be a nice stream to have. Yeah, these paints have a lot of power to them. They're very, very strong paints. I enjoy them. If you guys want to continue the conversation about color theory and stuff that you were having with Anne, you can just ask me questions too. I am fairly knowledgeable in that as well. So I would love to help you out if there is anything you want to know. We do need a bit of orange in this to make it look less sick. Orange or red, really? Oh, let's go for a red. Red gives me a bit more mileage. If you're planning on mixing your colors a lot, it is a good idea to start from the primaries because they give you more room to mix. So like, for example, if I have to pick between a yellow, between an orange and a red, if I want to mix a skin tone, I will tend to prefer the red because orange limits me a little bit more. So this is an orangish color, but it has a more yellow tendency to it, which would be our mid-tone for the guy. So let's just block it in like that. This is a bit too yellowish still. So let me just play a bit more with the saturation. See, I'm adding black and white here to desaturate. Now, you might wanna... Some people don't like adding black to their colors because they think it kills them. I don't necessarily agree because I have studied... Yeah, the new stickers have no sound, I don't know why. What do you add to the yellow before the red? Black and white to desaturate. So if you study color from an artist's perspective, black and white, black is not that good of a color to add to your mixtures. But if you study color from a light spectrum, you will find out that you can mix, like, the same color can be the result of different lights. That means that you can I can mix this very same color that I have on my model right now, either with black and white or using the complementary. It doesn't really matter, and I've tested it quite a lot, but it doesn't really matter, at least from what I've found. And again, I'm the kind of guy that if I can't prove a theory, then I won't follow it. Yes, I primed it. I primed it with a black. The black primer I use is Chaos Black from Games Workshop. Okay, so the skin is very yellow right now, but we're gonna be changing it around. For example, we can start mixing in a bit more of red and darken this. And by adding red, the thing about the coolness and warmth that we talked about earlier, if I add red, I'm cooling down the color. So like, even though red is a warm color, it is colder than the color that I have already on the model. So if I add red to this, I am cooling it down. So it's not like I have to jump into purple or blue to be able to make these shadow colder. They have to be colder in relation, not colder by definition. You add some of the light color, like an orange to your metallic midtone to keep the mini consistent? Yes. Okay. Well, it's not really a problem. Like, a good way of doing it is painting your metal normally, and then at the end, when it's finished, giving it a very, very thin glaze with an ink. Inks work really well on true metallics. It's not like you have to paint it from the get-go with the color added in. You can just do it normally and then glaze it down. Okay, it's not looking very interesting right now, but we can fix that. We just need to push the light a little bit. And again, adding white is mandatory. And then depending on the color of the light, you can add yellow or whatever it is the color. But in this case, I'm gonna go for a yellow. Hello, Gimli. Yeah, colors don't matter that much. Are the inks more saturated than the paints? Is that the difference? No, inks are like normal paints, the paints we use, they are actual physical, in a way, materials that are suspended in a medium. Inks, the pigment is water soluted. So it's a water soluble pigment, which means the difference between an ink and a normal paint is that the ink is more consistent in its glazing. A normal paint, when you thin it, sometimes it dries very transparent, sometimes a bit more opaque, sometimes parts of it dry transparent, other opaque, depending on how good the ink is and how good the paint is, and especially how good the medium that it's in. Inks kind of don't have that problem because they are always the same amount of material. The problem with ink is that if you add water, you start kind of bibbing about a bit with the composition. So when you add water to an ink, you want to really mix it a lot. Like, you can't just add a bit of water to an ink and call it a day. Like, you want to spend some time just really making sure that it gets mixed. Indeed it is, Trash. How you doing? Bye. Come on, just get stuck, dude. Like, what I'm doing here is just playing around with the midtones, so I'm not really pushing contrast. Like, I pushed contrast when I sketched the light. Now I'm actually working on losing that contrast because I don't want all of it right now. And as you lose the contrast, you have opportunities to change the colors around a little bit. So sometimes you will add a bit more yellow, sometimes a bit more orange, sometimes a bit more red. It doesn't really matter, but because it actually matters that you do variate the colors when you're doing a skin tone. Because skin is about the color variation. Like, there isn't such a thing as a color recipe for skin. Because even if you get like people from the same family in a room and you color pick their skin, it will be different across them. It will be different across them, and it will be different across them depending on which part of the body you color pick. Like maybe the face is a bit more orangish, maybe the forehead is a bit more yellowish, maybe another part is extremely pink. Not gonna mention which one. Like, it depends, right? So, because of that, it's important to understand that skin tone is about color variation more than anything else. It's so cute when you drop a minion tele back. Yeah, because it's like it's leaving. Watching your glazing video again, I think you had very stylish glasses back then. You mean normal glasses, prescription ones? Like, the face is already coming along. So even though the colors I'm using are fairly weird, because I'm using yellows to paint the face, since I am moving the color around enough in its yellowness, the overall feeling will be yellow. But the color will be natural by the end of it all. Like, if you look at old portraits, like, or even modern ones, but like just painted portraits, you will see that the skin in the people that you see is actually very yellow-green. Like, Caucasian skin is actually very yellow-green. Like, orange works as a color, but it doesn't quite look realistic. We, like in mini painting, we tend to over-exaggerate the use of orange in our skins. Not that you shouldn't have it, because you should have a bit of orange in it, but it should be like, in my opinion, if you want to go realistic, it should be more leaning towards a yellow than orange. He has malaria, maybe. I was trying something with a gene stealer to add a purple color by mixing standard Caucasian skin tones and tinting it towards the color I want. Can I do the same on dark skin colors by adding slightly more burnt umber? You mean like a black person skin tone? Yes. Absolutely, yeah. Like, the difference between a white person and a black person in terms of color is just simply the value. Like, well, let's say my skin tone is somewhere around this color that I have on my thing. If I just get this color and I just add a shit ton of black to it, and I readjust for the loss of saturation due to black, so I just push the orange in there a bit more, and just keep darkening it. So basically, like, what I have on my brush now is the same color. It's the same color that I have here, just much darker. That's a black person skin tone. So it's not like we have different skin's colors from a black person. What changes is the value. You also have shifts in the tonality, like you do between white people as well. It's not just any different. You have some black skins that are more dark and more matte, so like just black. You have other skins that are more towards the browns, more skins that are towards whatever you want. And the same happens with Asian skin tones. They have more of a yellowish tint to them. But it's not like an Asian has a yellow skin, it's just the skin like mine and yours, as white people, I mean. It's the same skin, just with a shift in the midtones that is similar, that is closer to yellow. Like, one of the most important realizations I made in painting was that colors have value. Like, for me, I'm different from many painters, because for me, color doesn't matter, and I tend to work a lot with very limited palettes in my work in terms of actual colors. Because, like, you call something something because of its value, not just because of its hue. Like, pink is not pink, technically speaking. Pink doesn't exist. What we call pink is a light red. So when you understand that every color has its own value attached to it, you can play around a lot more with color without being too worried about what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, again, it's all about value. It's not about color. So like here, for example, the skin was looking a bit too yellow, then I'm just sneaking in a bit more orange, a bit more red, and it's still looking yellowish because the base tone is yellow. But it's becoming healthier, I guess, in the way you want to call it. Like, it's looking more healthy because the reds and the orange help making offset the yellow and not make it look like something is wrong with the guy, and it's just more a matter of like his skin has that tonality. Which is one of the big mistakes that people do, and you see it a lot in historical painting. When people paint like Japanese soldiers from World War II, oftentimes they look like they have terminal liver cancer, not that they are Asian. Because people are like, oh well, Asian people have a yellowish skin, and they just go fucking ochre. That's not exactly how it works. It just means that like an Asian skin tone has more of a yellow hue to the midtones. So all of the midtones will shift towards yellow, but they still remain in the realm of whatever of a color that is not yellow. So, like, and this is actually a very good exercise to do. Like, observe. Observe things that you don't know well and try to understand them, because what you do know well is actually negative for you to look at, because you have a lot of assumptions that are due to the fact that you've been looking at it for a long time. So you think you know how it looks, but you don't really. But to understand that, you have to look at something you don't know. So like, for example, I'm European, right? I don't get to hang out with people of Asian heritage very much. So I'm not that experienced in looking at, in real life, I mean, at Asian skin tones. But when you do, you will find out that they're not quite as yellow as pop culture will make it look to you. Like, for example, I mean, matching this color will be tough, but like, can you see the shadow on my, not the shadow, but like this reddish mid-tone that I have here? So I can match it. I can match that reddish mid-tone with more or less something like this. Like, it's a grayed out, it's more intense than it looks though. It's a grayed out red that is warm, so it's something like a bit more desaturated. I mean, it's not desaturated, it's just thinner. So my shadow on my skin, this whatever red I have, I don't know if you can see it, but like this color here that I have where I place the line looks like something like this. If I was painting an Asian person, it's not like I would mix a different color. What I would do, I would just shift this color towards yellow a bit more. So my reds would look slightly more orangish because the overall tint of the skin is more yellower. But you still have reds happening in it. It's not like you don't have any red happening in a skin tone or stuff like that. I stare at all people equally in this subway. So here I can use the very same red color that I mixed for my skin to show you the
What?
thing. Exactly. And just use it as the local mid-zone of the area of the elbow, because there's more blood going through here. I mean, if I want this red to be darker, I'm just gonna add black to it. I'm not gonna go all the way and pull out a green so I can desaturate using the color wheel, you know? Like, that sounds... And I mean, I don't want to be offensive towards anybody, but that sounds like a bit pretentious in a way. Like, if I just want a red to go darker, I will add black to it. I don't find the necessity to go and look for a green to darken my red right now. Like, I can just use black. Now, of course, it's important to use very, very, very little black, because black is extremely strong when you add it to a color. So it's very easy for you to add a bit of black and be like, okay, I'm good, and then you just lost the color. So one thing that I will say that is, I think, true is be very careful with how much black you add to your color, because sometimes you only need like a minuscule tip of it. Not much more than that. The problem with using black, though, is that it takes quite a bit of understanding of color mixing. It's like, I can block in my shadow with a reddish black. Sorry, with a blackish red. But I can't mix that reddish black into my lights to blend, because otherwise I get a gray. So that's where it gets really hard. And this is where I understand why people tend to prefer a more color wheel oriented way of painting, because it makes you not make this mistake. But again, if you know about it, you just don't make it. Okay. Let's block in some eyes. One day some company will sell an actual neutral black, though. That would be so nice if they did. Like, I don't really understand why we have to go through the effort of neutralizing the black every time. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Don't worry about bothering me, you aren't. Which one of my co-workers stole my highlighter? It was 10. If only we did. Because like, so basically how do I... Black, if you add white to a black, this color is extremely cold. You can see that against my skin tone is very cold. So you have to add an orange to your black to neutralize it. Now it's a pure gray, you see? That's annoying as fuck. Like, I would really enjoy to have a black that is not blue. So a black that has been neutralized already. So when I add white to it, it just gives me a gray. That would be so nice. I don't know why nobody does it. I have no idea why. Like, I honestly, legit, there must be a reason. I have to ask Anne about it because she probably knows. Because it makes no sense to me. Like, why don't you sell me a neutral black? Why does my black have to be blue? Maybe. No, those colors aren't very good for painting minis. Like, I have used black 2.0 in my painting, but the color is not the kind of color you want to mix with or do things with. And it kind of sucks, let's be honest. Now, there must be a reason why they don't mix a real pure black. And all the blacks we get are blues. Like, I understand the black pigment is blue. I do understand that. What I don't understand is why they don't add orange in it at manufacturing to neutralize it. Are the eyes even straight? This one is going a little bit. It's going a little bit. Another very important thing is white balance. The eye looks white, right? Like, it looks like he has white in the eyes, around the iris. It is not quite the case. And you will see it soon. So I want this orange to be like intense. I want his eyes to be orange. I decided. So the eyes look white because... Hello, Aptos. The eyes look white because currently the lightest value, also the most desaturated color, is the color that I have in the eye. So automatically your brain white balances looking at this guy going, well, the eyes must be white. They aren't. And when I actually add a white, you will see the difference. And that's what white balance is, and it's a very important thing. Now I have white in the eyes, see? And all of a sudden, the color on the right side of this eye doesn't look like white anymore, although it feels like it is, but it isn't white, because the white is now on the mini. This kind of understanding is basically the fundamental of my style of painting. Like, I paint the way I do because of this. Let me have a cigarette. Man, I miss drinking iced tea. I would really like some iced tea right now. Yeah, I would use an off-white. An off-white or a black. Like, the color red is a warm color that is very dark. So you contrast against it either with a very light color next to it or with a cold color next to it. So a bluish black or a creamy color, both work. It depends on the light. green. Like, it depends on what light is illuminating the animal. Because if it's a light, for example, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, then yes, it would get to pure white, because zenithal light doesn't have a cold temperature. But light in the morning or light in the afternoon, they do have a temperature. So in that case, and they're also weaker, of course. Like, sunlight is the strongest at noon. So if you're painting something at noon, then you will have the strongest light. As the day goes by, the light gets weaker and also changes in temperature slightly. So if you're doing something, a paint job supposed to be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m., then your light will have a slight, ever so slight, yellowish tint to it, which means your white fur will never look white. Will always have a bit of yellow in it. Because, like, you have to imagine light. Like, light hits something and it increases its brightness. Because the object has its own little color, which is its own little brightness. So you have I don't know, like, for example, a blue ball is a blue ball, and the blue color is a dark color, and it's blue. Light hits it, and it increases the brightness of the blue, taking it towards white, right? But when the light also has a color, it applies a filter of that color over whatever it touches. So what that means is that not only is your blue ball getting lighter and whiter, it's also getting offset by the filter of color that is being added to it. Now, if the light is also blue, or a cold color, the blue ball will remain quite saturated as it gets lighter. If the light is warm, which means orange, it's going to be opposite to the ball, meaning that as the ball gets lighter, it loses color. Adding only white to a color to illuminate it, even though it's realistic, because it happens in real life, it will always give to your painting a very operating table kind of look. Because, like, in real life, the only places where you really have pure white light illuminating things well is on a surgery table, at a dentist, and in one of those makeup shops that want to make you feel like you are the ugliest fucking thing on the planet, so you buy makeup. But, like, in art, you tend to avoid those kind of looks, right? Unless you're going for them. Like, you usually want to have a temperature to your light, because natural light always have temperature to it, except some specific cases. But again, people tend to avoid those moments. Like, for example, when it's 1 p.m. in the afternoon, a painter, not a mini painter, a painter will paint somebody at that time of the day, of course, but he will not paint those people illuminated by sunlight. He will paint them indoors with a window open. So what's actually coming inside of the room is not sunlight, is skylight. Because direct noon sunlight is kind of boring to look at. But it is also the most faithful in terms of color of the objects. So, like, and you see it a lot. Like, if you observe different medias, you will understand this. Like, if you look at, like, models of architectural design, those models, when done in 3D, they are usually lit with a very neutral light, because the architect wants you to see the forms and the colors of the things that he wants to build, right? He's not trying to make it look artistically beautiful. He's trying to make it so that you see what the heck is going to happen there. But that's a very sterile look. If an artist were to be painting the same environment, they would probably pick a different time of the day to have a different lighting happening. But like, in general, like, even at the most basic level of painting, a good idea is to not use white to paint your stuff. So you don't have to go in depth in color theory as I'm going explaining this. Just pick a color like this, like ice yellow from Bibbidi Babbidi, whatever, a color like this. Lemon yellow from Reaper with a bit of white in it works as well. Like, just don't go pure white. Normally light is warm, so using yellow is not a bad idea. So at least use that. Although that's, the more in depth you go, the more you understand that that's not actually what happens to colors as they get lighter. Well, everything that is being lit by direct light will not have any color reflections on it. So that's a good starting point. You cannot have reflected lights in things that are in light. That just doesn't work. So you will probably have the bottom of the animal, whatever you're painting, the bottom of it might have a bit of the color of the ground added to its colors to suggest sort of like a reflection of the ground against it. Stuff like that. But like what is in light, what is being illuminated, will just have the color of the light and the color of the actual object. Yeah, if it's flowers, then probably there's gonna be a bit of a greenish. Adding a bit of green to the color of the fur at the bottom will, not too much either, like just a little bit. Like, don't turn the fur green, just make it feel greener. Okay, I'm gonna block out the eyebrows because they're making the thing look a bit weird. Okay. Okay, it's looking pretty lively. I don't know why my room is so freaking hot no matter what. Like the rest of the house is pretty chill. My room is an oven. No, I only have one wall exposed to the element. Take care, guy. Enjoy your pizza, dude. I will be seeing you later, man. Thank you for hanging out. Let me know what you want me to paint for you. Is your room... you're asking too much. You're asking too much. I have no freaking idea what I am right now. I barely know the country I'm in, let alone with cardinal direction. There's a compass on my phone. Where? No. My room faces north. My window looks north. You lost me, War Shadow. I am terrible with technology, dude. Okay. Yeah, these contests last a long time. Ooh, nice. But like changing scale is really good to. Well, I mean, it's really good for learning. At the same time, you will probably feel kind of bad because when you move to a bigger scale, it's always the first few paint jobs are always very punishing in a sense that more than learning something new, you learn that you don't know. So I'm just gonna be honest with you, that's kind of what's gonna happen. But the good thing is that after you go through the first phase of misery, you improve a lot. So try to hold on, even if it feels like you're not very good, you suck, all of that stuff. Don't let it get to you and just keep painting, because there is a lot to learn. Like, there's nothing wrong with you if the paint job doesn't look as good as you thought it should. Like, my first 75 mil sucked, and I stripped it like 4 times, I think. Morlock. That was a really nice model too. I really liked Morlock. Just adding details here and there to start kind of seeing the model coming along. No, I already found it. I've already found it and already measured, and looks like I am in... My room is facing north. I honestly don't know why it gets so hot in my room. I would like to know. Like, I mean, I have a computer on. My lights don't really heat up, though. Yeah, my lights don't really do any heat, so I don't know where the heat is coming from, because... I'm not saying it's chilly outside, but it's definitely colder than it is here. Yes. The door has been open the whole day. I'm on the 3rd floor of a 4th-floor building. Are you guys trying to locate my apartment with all of these questions about my whereabouts? Was the building built over an ancient cemetery? Maybe. Maybe it was. I mean, this part of Spain I live in is a pretty ancient part of Spain. I'm pretty sure lots of people died around it in battle over the years. You're not actually shipping them to me. You're shipping them to a trusted person that I know that is checking the boxes before delivering them to me. That's not true. That's my address. I mean, I have another copy of the Gandalf, you know? Eventually one day I'll paint him. Okay. All right. So I think we can call it for today, because my paints are all dried, and we can work on the golden metallics next week. Because if I start them now, I won't be able to get them finished anyway. I do think the dude is looking pretty nice. Need to paint that's beard, yeah. I think it's looking sexy. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for today, my friends. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you boys and girls and alpacas and BBD. So I'll be seeing you next week, or on my own stream if you want. I'm gonna be releasing tomorrow the guides on this dude on my Patreon. So in case you are curious and want to learn more about my painting, you can find it on my Patreon. And we finished this lady on my stream today. And Friday we are back to the big Mortarion boy. So it's gonna be a fun one. Hopefully I can how do you say it? I don't know, like reacquaint myself with painting. It's still feeling a bit foreign. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's taking more effort than it should, but it's okay. After a break, it's always like this anyway. So thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you for the company, and I'll be seeing you all next week. All right, bye bye. Love you guys.